Welcome to the Everything Podcast, and in this episode, I am going to be discussing the third teaser for Avengers Doomsday, which releases in cinemas from the 18th of December 2026, so I can officially say it's coming out this year. But before that, I'm going to talk about something else first, which is kind of what I'm doing with this new format of the podcast. As I've stressed in previous episodes, in January 2026, the podcast isn't going to change at all. 7 episodes a week with the shorts that Matt does. But from February 2026, the podcast is going to be condensed for financial reasons. Because I've been financing the podcast since it started all the way back in the middle of 2022. We're now obviously in 2026, and I thought I would have been earning some money from it. I am, as I've also mentioned in previous episodes, I am going to receive my first payment from Spreaker, so thank you for supporting that on the podcast on audio as well. I'll be receiving that at the end of January, which will help a little bit, but it's not enough to cover what I have to pay Matt every week. For the podcast, that wouldn't even cover 1 week, so that kind of was a decision that I made and spoke to Matt about, and we kind of agreed that from February we'd start weaning down. So just a reminder of that. But if you do want the podcast to continue in its current form of 7 episodes a week, then please go to the podcast's X page, which if you're watching this episode on YouTube, you will find the handle. I think it's Xing with the Everything Podcast. If you just type that in, it should come up. You can find that at the end of the episode on YouTube. Obviously, if you're listening to this episode, then you won't be able to find that. But if you go over to YouTube, you should. And the reason why I mentioned all that is because Matt now, who actually has a YouTube channel before I met him, and now he's got a music channel which is called Matt Milcom. So search that, and I have asked Matt, I asked his permission to talk about it on the podcast, and then I said, can we link it on the YouTube? So I'm going to try and link that. I'll try and link it on the audio platforms as well, so you can find it there as well. But yeah, it's just thought I should mention it. But without further ado, here is the third. So please consider supporting Matt's YouTube channel. If you watched or listened to the Christmas special, you would have noticed there is a music a song in there. Obviously, if you're listening to it and it's properly animated, if you're watching the YouTube episode, please consider watching it if you haven't already, even if it's just for the song, because even though I'd recorded the episode and knew what was in it, I want to hear the song. I think it's kind of to that effect. But without further ado, here is the third teaser for Avengers Doomsday. I hope you enjoy it.
Death comes for us all. That's all I know for sure. The question isn't, are you prepared to die? The question is, who will you be when you close your eyes?
That was the third teaser for Avengers Doomsday. Like with all of these teasers, I've not seen them. Yes, they've been leaked, but I try to, and even when they're released online by Marvel, as this one has been, I try not to watch it beforehand because I want to give you my live reaction as such to it. Which so obviously that one is more in line with the first one with Steve Rogers, played by Chris Evans, returning. And then we had Thor, who's continued in the MCU, and we've got the X-Men. So we had Professor X, Magneto, and Cyclops in there. I think there's a few other X-Men confirmed to be in Avengers Doomsday as well. So yeah, it's the X-Men. So obviously it kind of we last saw the X-Men in some form. Animated X-Men 97 got season 2 coming out, I think, in the summer this year, and live action was in Deadpool and Wolverine, which released all the way back in 2024. But yeah, they're kind of, again, with these teasers, there isn't a lot to them, but there is, as I said, Magneto, Cyclops, and Professor X in there. Now, I didn't know really who the X-Men was until I watched X-Men 97 Season 1, which I have recapped in full on the podcast. Please go check that out if you haven't already. But without further ado, let me know what you thought of this third teaser for Avengers Doomsday, as well, if you're planning to watch it when it is released in cinemas on the 18th of December 2026. But without further ado, I will see you in a future episode of the podcast. See you then. Goodbye.